What do short hair and men's underwear have to do with economics? I'll give you a second to guess there. But what do men's underwear and women's hair have to do with economics? Well, it turns out that we can actually tell how well the economy is doing by what is happening in trends with women's hair. So is women's hair is the trend to have longer hair or shorter hair? And what does that tell you about how well the economy is doing? Well, it turns out that when women's hair, the trends start to become shorter, that usually tells us that the economy is not doing as well. Well, let's think about why that would be. Well, when your hair is long, it takes lots of time to style, it takes lots of product. You have to have time in the morning to do it. Well, if you're worried about money, so you're working extra shifts, you're trying to make sure you don't spend too much, where's one way you can cut back? Well, you can cut back on styling products, and you can save time by chopping off that hair to be shorter so it takes less time to get ready, so you're out the door and putting in the hours or looking for work. So we can actually tell how well the economy is doing based on what is happening with women's hairstyles. So I ask you, what is the current trend for women's hair? Is it getting longer or is it getting shorter? Well, we want to know how well our economy is doing. And one way to tell how the economy is doing and whether the economy is going to get better, so more jobs, higher pay, or whether we should be worried about an economic downturn, being laid off, having wage cuts, we really need to know what's going to be happening to the economy. And so one thing we can look at is consumer confidence. How confident are customers? Are they out buying goods and services, or are they saving their money? This is likely to tell us what is going to be happening in the near future when it comes to the economy. Because if we're all concerned about losing our job, we're not buying things, which means businesses don't need to make things, which means they don't need as many employees and can lead to a recession. If consumers are optimistic about the future, they think they're going to get a raise, then they're likely to go and spend that money right now before they even get the actual raise. And that means they're buying more goods, which means that we now need more people working at the stores, we need more people making the products, and that can stimulate the economy. So think about it. Often you hear on the radio, right? Politicians, or on the news, on social media, politicians are trying to get you excited about how the economy's doing better, things are improving. Why are they doing this? They're doing this because if they can get you more confident about the future, then you will be more likely to buy and the economy will get better. So I ask you, is consumer confidence on the rise? Are we more optimistic or pessimistic about what's happening in our economy? Okay. Well, what you can see here is the results of a recent survey, and it's asking people about how they feel. Do they feel good about their finances compared to previous years? So this is an Ipsos Public Affairs poll, and it found that 71% of respondents felt good compared to 80% last year in 2017 and 75% in 2016. So the economy maybe not improving as much as we had thought it was going to be last year, but generally people are feeling pretty good about their finances. So how do you feel? Is the economy getting better or worse? Are you better off this year than you were last year? We can actually look at what is happening with consumer confidence. And so you can see here on the graph, see this dip in 2016, right? Oil prices fell in 2015. The Alberta economy went into a recession. And of course, confidence, and this is Canada-wide, went down as we're starting to hurt, not just in Alberta, but across the country. Here on the right, you can see into 2018 and 2019. So how are we doing? Are we more confident about the economy or less confident? And so remember, our confidence dictates our actions, and that'll ultimately determine what happens to our economy. So the more confidence we have, the better the economy will do. The worse the economy is, we're less likely to be confident about it in the future. And so it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that means we'll pull back on our spending and the economy can shrink. Well, we started this video by asking you, what do short hair and men's underwear have to do with the economy? So we looked at short hair and we looked at consumer confidence. What about men's underwear? Well, Alan Greenspan was the head of the Federal Reserve. That's the central bank within the United States. He used to be the head of the Federal Reserve. And Alan Greenspan said you could predict how bad the economy was doing based on the sale of men's underwear. Okay? So what is he talking about? Well, let's think about it. Let's think about women buying clothes versus men buying clothes. Ladies, if you're like me, you buy clothes, as retail therapy. You buy it when it's on sale. Sometimes you're bored and you just go shopping. Well, what about men and men's underwear in particular? Well, when do men replace their underwear? All right, well, do they do it when it's on sale? Do they go and buy men's underwear just for fun? Well, what we find is that most men, they replace their underwear or buy their underwear as a replacement, right? You buy new underwear when the old ones just don't work anymore. So how do we know, based on the sale of men's underwear, how the economy is doing? Well, if the economy is really bad, then the sale of men's underwear will fall. So typically, male underwear, the sale of it is very flat. It doesn't change from year to year, right? You replace the old pair. When that pair is no good, you replace the next pair. So things are bad if you're turning it inside out and you're making that underwear last even longer. In 2009, the sale of men's underwear, it dropped. It dropped 2.3%. Now remember 2008, 2009, we had a recession in the US and in Canada. And in the US, it was the Great Recession. And we'll talk later this semester about why it was a Great Recession. Hint, it was the closest we've been to the Great Depression in terms of contraction and severity of retraction in the economy. So it was a recession, the economy contracted, and things were bad because men weren't replacing their underwear. How do we know if we've recovered? Well, in 2012, the sale of men's underwear increased to 6%, back to where it was before that recession. So we can keep an eye on trends in sale of men's underwear, in women's haircuts. There's other indicators we can look at as well to tell us what's happening in the economy. We can look at the sale of lipstick, men's ties. We can look at attendance at movie theaters. Right? If you can't afford the fancy vacation, you're doing a staycation at home, you're more likely to go to the movies. If you are back looking for a job after given up looking for a while, you might need to buy a new tie. So we can look at these indicators to tell us how well the economy is doing. On Blackboard, check out some of the other interesting indicators to tell us how well the economy is doing. And this semester, you're going to figure out how well is the Alberta economy doing, how about Canada and the US, and we're going to be looking at a number of statistics that measure the welfare of our economy. So stick with us, and we'll continue our journey this semester.